we go again. As usual, I'm just trying to set this up so you guys can see what I'm doing and I can see the monitor, which at the moment I can't, mainly because of the sun. So I've actually spent a ridiculous amount of time today dragging some things out here to share with you. Once again, this isn't planned. I'm not doing a planned video or tutorial as much as I had wanted to. Wasn't going to do anything today. I'm exhausted again. It actually took me 3 days to wrap what people had bought off my last de-stash drop. 3 days, and I was doing minimum 12-hour days, and that's not how much is going out, don't get me wrong. I'm just so pedantic about how I like things wrapped and sent out. I need to get over that, I think, because I can't maintain this. Anyway, as I said, I wasn't going to do anything today because I'm exhausted. This is the first day I've had to rest in what feels like forever. But I brought Willow out earlier to go to the loo and she refused to come back inside. She's plonked herself on the front lawn. So I went and got the lead and I've hooked her up to the railing as I do sometimes, and she's wonderfully content. I'm just checking, bear with me. Yep, she's laying down on the lawn, having a wow of a time. She loves it. So I thought, well, she's out here, instead of locking myself inside like I have been, working away like an industrious little beaver trying to clear more stuff out of this house, I thought I'd come out and sit out here in the sun with her. Now, before I go much further, I'll just point out that my neighbour down the back, he's a lovely man. I don't know his name. We've never actually been introduced or introduced ourselves to each other, but he did give me, he had 3 trees cut down over summer, all in one day, and I asked what they were doing with them, and of course the arborists were taking them. I'm assuming they were going to, they get a little bit of money, I believe, sometimes. I'm not sure. They can resell it somehow. So I asked if I could have the trees, and the arborist was like, well, I'm not going to drive it around and deliver it for you. I said, can you just get your boys to chuck it over the fence? He's like, no. So it'd be great if you could. Oh, yeah, all right. And then after he agreed, he then said that he wanted me to pay them all $20 each. And I said, as much as I'd love to, I don't have $20 each to pay them. And with that, the guy that owned the property that was paying the arborist to fell the trees came over and he said, I'm paying you to do this, and if she wants those trees, you give her those trees. So that's what happened. But to cut a long story short, I still haven't chopped up all that wood. I've got to cart it up the embankment because it's down on the back fence line. I've got a stepped yard. I've got to cart it up the embankment and then chop it up. And I don't have a block splitter. I only have an axe. So, and it's as blunt as all buggery. I was going to say as blunt as a butter knife, but my butter knife's actually one of the sharpest knives I own. So I've got to do that, but the moral of this story was that my friend down the back is building a veranda. So he's got all sorts of power tools and things going today. Now, I'm just looking around at this table that I'm sitting at. As I said, I've lugged all this stuff out here to show you guys, and I don't know where to start. It's mainly just another show and tell today, really. I do want to continue with the crazy patchwork thing that I started. That seems to have been a bit of a hit. But I just thought I'd share some of the stuff that I've been dragging out of my extensive stash, a lot of which I've forgotten I had. And yeah, some of it's pretty cool, so I thought some of you might enjoy seeing it. Some of it's... Here's one thing, and now this isn't my best one. I know I have another one with some more treasures on it somewhere that I haven't come across yet. This silver one needs a bit of repair done. These aren't my favourites, so I know I have another one. This is something that I've unearthed. I can't go in any tighter. Maybe I need to try and... This is why I had the monitor lifted higher, so you guys could actually see, but in doing so means that I can't see the monitor. I can't see what you're saying if you're typing, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. It's more than a bit of a pain in the bum. So this is one thing that I've unearthed in my adventures. I believe this was my grandmother's on my mother's side. I remember my mother having this years ago. This one I think was my grandmother's on my father's side, and it needs some repairing. It's sterling, and these little, what do you call them? Oh, I should remember what they're called because I've done silversmithing. These little prongs that hold the mother of pearl in, some of them have lifted, so that needs to be repaired. No idea where this one came from. This was another one of my grandmother's, I believe. I love these ones, and this one. This was an old necklace that fell apart, and I've just pinned that bit on there. A frog. So yeah, I used to make brooch cushions, and I've got more around, but that was one that was unearthed that I thought you might enjoy looking at. I just don't know what else to share right now. I've got something... It's too late, I've already shown it now. I was going to say I've got something here in front of me that I've ummed and ahed about sharing because it's actually for a gift for someone. But I need to show you these because they're stunning. I haven't been looking at fabrics in a store for years that I can remember. I popped over to Sobe last week to grab a gift for someone, but I didn't really have the time to look at the fabrics. However, last Tuesday maybe, I stopped at Thorpe & Co. And I was looking for something to put in my, my big blue quilted needle book I'm doing? I was looking for another fabric to add to that, and I found this. Now this is an Australian company, Fern Textiles, and I think it's absolutely stunning. So I bought a piece of that. I only got a small piece, and I've ended up cutting that in half to share it. But I went back yesterday because I wanted to get some more for a gift, and I've ended up picking up, and I'm just so pleased with these. And I didn't have a lot of time to look, so I just randomly grabbed fabrics that caught my eye out on the shelf. And again, these are from Thorpe & Co. This one is a Tilda, I believe, which I wouldn't normally go for this mustardy colour, but how scrumptious is that? And then, this is another Fern Textiles. It's that same print. And they had it in a grey and a green, I believe. I'm tempted to go and get them. And then this one, which I believe is another Tilda. So I pulled those, not intending at all to put them together. But when I took them up to the counter, the ladies were quite excited about that. But then I went and pulled some felt to do some needle books. And I found these colours. So I was quite pleased with those. They were quite short on their colour range there yesterday, so I didn't quite get what I was hoping for, but I'm quite pleased with those. And interestingly, I pulled the colours that I thought I wanted at first, and then I wanted 2 of each. And some of the colours I pulled, I only had 1 of each. I thought that's not good enough. I need them to match. So I went back, and these colours I've ended up with, again, are not colours I would normally pick, and I'm really pleased with them. And then, of course, I had to get this. How I'm going to work that in, I don't know, but I had to get the neon. Now, these are pure wool felt. I don't know what brand they are. I apologise. I didn't ask. I'll have to ask them. I did take my mother and her friend over to Thorpe's yesterday, and I'm really, I think I'll be going there a lot more. I haven't been there for a long time. I remember where I went last week. I ran out of the needle book I'm doing. It's in front of me, but it's up there on the shelf. Hang on a minute. The Japanese silk one that I'm doing. I was running low on the thread, the thread that came with it, the stranded DMC. So I popped over to get some more. That's why I ended up at Thorpe's. Otherwise, I don't think I would have even ended up there. My poor needle books are all squished up in here. I've got this. I've got this pouch, I've shown it before, that I put my current projects in, and I often carry it with me when I leave the house, so I've got something to do if I'm sitting idle. I'm running out of space here, so that's part of my poor blue one I'm working on. So this one, I ran out of the and again I've got that thread here. I didn't run out, I was running low and I was worried I would run out. So this one. This is the one that came in, this is the colour that came in the kit, the original kit. It's a DMC. I believe it's the same colour. Stupidly, I didn't keep the tag, so I've just tried to colour match. And this is what I had left. I rolled it onto this wooden reel because it kept getting tangled up. And look, even now I've got a knot in there. So I ducked over to get another DMC thread, and then that's when I saw all these other delicious textiles. I also picked up, I may have already shared this too, and again I didn't really want to share all this because it's for a gift. Oh, that was interesting. A bit of fluff stuck in there that was very unattractive. So I also picked up some more Suffolk puffs from Beck at So Be. That was last week when I went in to get the gift. And a piece of this vintage textile that I just thought was divine. And a little bit of Japanese Liberty. And this. Now, I actually thought it was cotton when I picked it up. It looks like, yeah, it's tapestry wool. There we go. Which is even more delicious. Look at that. It's not quite the same time. It'll work. And then we throw these others in. Anyway, a little collection of loveliness I've got happening here. And then, yeah, back to my little Japanese needle book here. Oops, I think she's, oh no, there we go. The amount of times I've pressed this poor thing. So what I was thinking the other day, I think I talked through this with you guys on here. I apologise, I'm drinking my coffee while it's still warmish. And yes, you're correct. I should not have liquid here. I just saw, unless I'm seeing things, I thought I just saw a couple of big hairy legs poke out from under the frickin' bench. And by hairy legs, I mean spider's legs. I can't see anything now. What on earth was that? Must be seeing things, guys. There's nothing there. I'm not the biggest fan of spiders. I've been bitten by a redback before, and I've woken up, I've lost count of how many times I've woken up with huntsmen on my face, so I don't like them. So what I was thinking the other day, I'm still not convinced I want to keep this bit of linen in here. Even though it's the right colours, I'm not convinced it's working. Now, I'm just looking for my glasses so I can see what the hell I'm doing, and as usual, I don't know where I've put them. They should be in here. Aha, they are too. There we go. They're in here. Bear with me a moment again. As I said, I did give fair warning. I'm not at all organised today. It's a lovely, easygoing, laid-back day today. I'm trying to unwind and relax a bit, so I'm trying not to stress myself out about being formal with this, I suppose. So, there's a tiny little thread in there. I just noticed a bit of silk. I'm not convinced I want to leave this in here yet, but if I do, I think I will be folding this over and stitching that down because, excuse me, got the hiccups, because it's not going to be very neat, is it? Just pinning this down so we can have a look. Oops, I'm losing you. You're slipping over. Because when I close the book, oh crikey. When I close the book, that bit was hanging out quite a bit and it looked quite untidy. I wasn't happy with it. And if I wanted to put a wrap around it, which I'm not sure I will, I might have to with this one because it's turning out to be quite large, quite chunky. So I'm thinking I will stitch that in there. Let's have a look at it not stitched in. So when we close the book, that hangs out quite a bit, and I don't like that. It just doesn't look tidy enough for me. So I think, even though I've got bits hanging out at the top of the board and the bottom, they seem okay. They feel okay at the moment. So I'm starting to think I might stitch this in here, maybe onto that bit of wool felt. I'm not sure yet. It's probably the only way I can really do it, isn't it? And then when it closes, then it looks much better, much tidier. So I think I may still have to trim. Oh no, she's not stitched in yet, so we might be right. So this is what I've got so far. And again, I'm not entirely convinced I want to keep this crocheted piece. It doesn't feel right yet. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes I put them in, I think I don't like that as much as I wanted it, as much as I thought it was great. Other times I feel like that, and then once I get all the other pieces in, it pulls it all together. Then I've got this. This is my Sue Spargo wool piece that came with the kit. I will be blanket stitching around this at this point. I don't know if I want to add anything to that, and the reason is because the idea was when this page was still closed, you could just see the colour through the lace, the crochet. That was my thinking behind that. Then we turn the page over and I'm lining it with a piece of vintage silk that came in the kit, and I've put a seam down here. I've added this is another piece that came in the kit. This was just a little strip, and it had irises at the top, and I've still got them here. I'm just trying to work out how to fit it all in. So I've hand stitched all this. It's all done by hand. I haven't done any on the machine, because another reason I've done that is because I want to show you that you don't need a sewing machine if you don't have one. We turn the page, and I wanted to do, I keep finding dog hairs. It's driving me batty. As much as I try and keep it all away from her, she manages to sprinkle her glitter every bloody where. Considering she was supposed to be a non-shedding dog, so I'm not overly pleased with this either. I did this insertion stitch because originally that's all I was going to do, and I tried to match. I'm trying to use just threads I have instead of buying more, and I chose this thread because it went well with this bluey green on the cover here. That's why I pulled that one in. Out here in the sunlight it doesn't look as good. But then I decided to stitch this cherry blossom in to sort of pull it all in together a bit more. However, the colours, I don't know, the colours clash to me. I don't want to start this again. I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of freestyle wool embroidery. I don't think I'm great at it. So I didn't really want to have to do that again, but I'm still not happy with this insertion stitch. So, I'm not sure. I hope this is on the bloody monitor for you guys, because I can't see the screen. I've lifted it up, and even though it's sort of within my visual line of visual range, it's so sunny here I can't see it. I'm not complaining about the sun. It's great to have some sun up for a while. Then we've got our, and again, as I mentioned, I think there'll be a blanket stitch around this, which I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle this, because I didn't really want to cover that. I haven't planned it out very well, have I? Anyway, again, with the cherry blossom, I just used threads I had. I didn't want to buy more. They're all wool. We turn this guy over and we've got the back of that. I was wondering what that was. It's my pen mark to say where the centre is. So that's that so far. But then I've still got, and yes, I have shown you this before, but I'm still sort of muddling my way through it. I've then got this piece that came in the kit. I'm not sure if this is linen or not. So I'd like to try and get that in. And then I thought, I'm trying to work out how to use all the fabrics that came in the kit. And I don't think I'm going to get them all in because there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit in these kits. If you're contemplating buying a kit, I recommend them because there's quite a bit in it. And I did buy the green kit as well, which I didn't buy it actually. It turned up here. I keep saying I bought it. I'm just in the habit of saying that. The green kit, I think, has enough for 2 needle books at least. So, and I have shown that before, but we'll move on. So I'm contemplating putting this in here. I think I'll remove that because that won't work, obviously. But looking at this now, I don't know if I want to hide all that silk behind this flap. And then the other thing that grinds my gears a bit is that this is a nice crisp white, this fabric, and then we've got an off-white and ecru or cream on the silk, and that bothers me a bit. Then I want to try and get, I'd like to try and get this doily in. And honestly, I might have to pull this doily, but look at the colours, they're perfect. So I'd like to get this little one in there. And then I thought I might line it because I don't like to see the back of them. I don't know why, I just can't deal with it. I'd like to cover it. So I thought I might cover it with a piece of this silk that came in the kit. Is it silk? I think it's silk. That came in the kit. So I thought I might line it with a piece of that. And there's loads of this here. I don't know if it's silk or not. So I thought I might put that there. Then I realised I'd forgotten the bloody wool. So I've got a piece of doctor's flannel I'd like to get in. I've only got that bit of pink in the front, that peachy colour. Then I thought I'd put another piece of this in because I've got more. And I haven't lined this bit with anything. And then I'd really like to try and get this doily in. Look at that. Another beautiful, perfectly coloured doily for this book. But as I've shown you before, by the time we close this poor little chicken, she's a chunky monkey. And then, I mean, it won't be quite that chunky because I've got to take layers of silk out and tidy it up a bit. Then we've still got to fit all our pins and needles and things in there. So that's where I'm going with that one. I've just got to straighten myself up, guys. I'm sitting on the edge of the stool again so I can see. And that is why I went off to Thorpe's the other day to buy another skein of that, because I thought there's no way I'm going to have enough here to do all that blanket stitching and whatnot that I want to do. So before I move on to something else, I think I did share these the other day, but these are, this is one that my daughter sent up, and it did have a, if you can call it that, a crochet edge, because it was sort of stitched on and then it just all come off. I don't think there was much effort put into it. But I really like that, so I'm contemplating whether to add my own crocheted border around that could be used potentially in a needlebook, or it could be used as a little pocket. in a needle book. This is another bit that's come up in my stash of stuffs. A little, I think it's an Irish lace panel. So that could be good for another bit of fluff for a pocket or something in a needle book. And then I found this, and again, I'm pretty sure I've shown you this, but how freaking cool is this? I remember buying it vaguely years ago. I think it could use a bit of a clean. And it's a little apron, as you can see. I'm just looking for a bottle or something. Now, I believe it was originally designed to go around, that's too big, the neck of a wine bottle, for example. So that would have slipped over the neck of the wine bottle, and then it would have been tied on and given as a gift. Now, these were big, these sorts of things were big in the 70s when people used to go and, you know, have cocktail parties and, what are they called? Oh, what are the things called? The fondues, things like that. You used to take something. So what I was thinking with this, how cool would this be? And they're little coasters. Look how tiny they are. Tiny little coasters. How cool would this be in a needle book as some sort of feature or book page or something? So, and then I thought, this is one of the reasons I picked up this pink the other day. I mean, I know it doesn't match, but imagine that, those, hang on, I've got to move this so you can see. Imagine those in a needle book. Look at that. And we could add, I think this is yellow, not green, but we could add a green neon zipper. How cool is that? So that's another thought I've got going through my head. I thought I had a green zipper here that we could look. I don't know what I've done with it. Ah, guess what? There's the green one. So look at that. Isn't that cool? So there we go. There's something else going through my little brain at the moment. I think I said this the other day, I'm a bit addicted to these needle books at the moment. But the problem is, I'm doing more than one at a time. So trying to get one finished, because I keep coming up with ideas, see? Crikey. Now where am I up to? There's more stuff out here that I was going to show you. This is another basket of stuff that's turned up. These are the sorts of things I've come across in my stash, see? Now this can go in with my other threads of such, which I don't know where they are. What else is in here? A recycled zipper. How cool is that one? That colour's pretty cool. Willow, can you stop yelling at people? It's a truck, I can tell. Some silk ribbon. Silk. Look at this. This is an old bit of braid. That reminds me of 70s, that one. That's not old. That's a new... Oh, that was something. I vaguely remember doing that. I was making something. What was I making? Look at that. I've used... What a doofus. Must be quite some time ago, because I've used a hot pink thread to do the gathering. Can't remember what I was making with that. A bit of eco-dyed silk. Oh, all sorts of little bits and pieces. A bit of, oh, this is a bit of vintage ribbon that was on a vintage apron. It's interesting. Oh, of course, it's all tucked away under everything, and I pulled it all out. It's interesting the difference in the quality of these vintage textiles. It's so much nicer. Oh gosh, where did I buy that? It's squished. I need to repair that. Look. I had a squish happen. I can't remember where I bought that. I've had it for years. But that's pretty cool, eh? A badge, brooch. Need to repair that guy. Hook and eye, silk ribbon bits, all sorts of lace, fabrics. There's even some plastic garbage bags in there. Ah, I just stabbed myself with the pins. Buttons, buckles. So this is something I need to go through. This is my Kuron stick I had the other week. These are the kinds of things I've been unearthing, see? I come across things like this, a basket full of stuff that I've got to sort through. Okay. Now, here's that other, I think I've shown you this already. I don't think we need to go through this again. This is the bits that came in the, oh, clip that on, that came in the green kit. Not all of these little liberties and mum and son and what, but as I said, I think there's enough here. All this silk and this wool came with it. I think there's enough here to do another 2 needle books from one kit. Move that out of the way. What else have I got here? Crikey, there's so much stuff here, it's crazy. I did have, I don't know if I've taken them down. I did have some stranded cottons listed in my D-stash, and I also had some of these listed, these tapestry cottons. Now, if I haven't taken them down already, I think I will, because I've realised that these are no longer available, and I think I want to hang on to them to use them myself. I can't see the other box now that they came from. Here's something else that I've unearthed in my... Now, I've been collecting, and I can't remember. I've been collecting wool fabric for years and years and years and years. And a lot of the fabric I've collected was suiting fabric, because I've got a feeling it was when I first discovered Sue Spargo and her beautiful work. And from memory, it was when I was back in guild, so we're looking at 30 years ago. And I couldn't afford those beautiful textiles back then. I had a new baby, and yeah. So I started collecting wool suiting. I had some that was my grandmother's, and I had in mind that I'd dye it at some stage. And it wasn't until probably 20 years later that I finally purchased the dyes to dye the wool. But I found so much wool suiting that I need to sort through. But this is one of the things that I discovered in my stash that I'd forgotten about. And it's all these pieces of wool that I've started to make a quilt with. It's just big squares. Why I've just done big squares, I don't know, because normally I'm not into doing things so simply. which is making me think that possibly I was going to embroider on them. So I've sewn all these together. Look, I've got all these different coloured wool squares. What are you doing? Get out of the garden, you big gooby. Out of the garden, please. Hop out of the garden, you're going to break all the plants. Hey, out of the garden. Come on, out you get. Normally she doesn't go in there anymore, but not since she was a puppy. And she's attached to a lead, so she's snapping all the plants as she goes. So yeah, I've got this wool blanket that I've started to stitch together, and I'd say it could possibly be a single bed size, but now I'm wondering whether I should line it and turn it into a winter quilt ruggy thingy. It's not my colours, but I quite like it. Yeah, another thing that's been unearthed from the deep, dark depths of beyond. There are some lovely colours in this. Why have I done it like that? It's offset. Maybe I didn't stitch it together because I can't imagine myself doing such a rough job. And then there's two, no, I mustn't have done this. There's two of the same colour next to each other. So you know what that means, don't you? I'm going to have to unpick it all and do it again because that's going to drive me batty. And I've got more colours, and I found a roll of black or navy. So maybe I'll do some tram tracks as well. I'd feel better with tram tracks, I think. So there we go. Maybe I didn't actually stitch this, I would imagine, because I would not have put two of the same colours right next to each other. I've also rediscovered this Tilda quilt that I started. I love these fabrics now. As soon as I saw it, I remembered. It's covered in hair, it's grotty. I don't know where it's been because look, desperately needs a clean. Where it's been folded, it's got these terrible marks on it. So I've got these beautiful Tilda fabrics, and I remembered when I found it that I bought charm square pack. That size, I can't remember what size those squares were. And I've just done white tram tracks, and then I've just done this. Now the border, and I remember now using fabrics out of the scrap bucket at work to do the border. So the first border is this pink in a Tilda, but I didn't have enough, so and the same with the second one in the blue. So half the quilt's done in this for the outer border, and the other half's done in this one, and the same with the pink. The spot, and then this one. So I need to clean that up and finish it off, because all I need to do is put the wadding, baste it, quilt it, back it, and then put the binding on it, and she's done. And I've come across countless quilt kits that I would have purchased while I was at the quilt store, and some of them I've started, some of them I haven't, some of them are English paper piecing, mainly just hexagons. I was really big, I loved the hexagons at one stage. So I remember we had a customer brought in I think it was from a Women's Day, Women's Weekly, no, it wasn't Country Style, one of those magazines, and they had this kit you could buy for a great big, like the large hexagons quilts, and it sort of went rainbow across it, but it was in prints, mainly Cafe Facet prints, and I can't remember the other one. So this customer brought it in and said that they'd sold out, could we replicate it? And my manager at the time, hi Fee, she pulled all the colours, she's great at that. And I said, I really like that, I want to do one. So she pulled one for me and I bought that kit. And I've started cutting out the hexagons and that's as far as I've gotten. But I'm pretty sure I have enough fabric to do 2 of those quilts. I've got a lot of fabric there, the quilt tops at least. So that's another one I've unearthed. There's another couple of things I wanted to show you. Oh, my daughter sent me, every now and then if she finds goodies where she lives, she'll send them to me to either use or to on sell. And she found this fabric recently and she bought me this to on sell, but I don't want to. Look at this. It's vintage 70s. It's not bark cloth. I believe it's I can't remember the name of it now. It's absolutely stunning. It's a cotton, a woven cotton with this glorious peacock coloured 70s print on it. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I love it. Love, 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 love it. I do believe it has a stamp. Here we go. Newstead screen print. Now I think Newstead screen print. We believe Shalwyn's the name of the design. It's got 3415/5/89, which we originally thought was the year, but upon further digging, my daughter found the name of the company. From memory, I can't remember now. From memory, it was an Australian company and it had closed. It had closed before 89, so that can't be the year, we've decided. But yeah, look at it. It's beautiful. It's just the most glorious 70s. It was probably marketed as a curtain fabric, I suppose. I'm racking my brain trying to work out what I can make with it because I just love it. I don't think there's enough for me to make something for myself to wear, but I'm thinking maybe some sort of carry bag, tote bag, satchel, something like that. So I had to share that with you. I think it's just divine, and again, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it. Now, the other thing I was going to do is, my daughter's only just recently shown an interest in stitching, embroidery, like freestyle embroidery. She's fiddled on and off for years, but never really gotten into it. And more recently, she's been showing a bit of an interest. So her and I, when she finishes work of an evening, she comes home, usually talks to me on the way home from work. Her and her fiance have dinner, and then we'll often FaceTime afterwards and do some stitching together. And we're actually thinking about, I think she saw Beck's wall hanging in the shop on one of her videos a couple of months ago, and we've been talking about that. And I sort of kept saying, I just don't know if I have the energy or the time. And then, is it Sarah or Rachel, Roxy Creations, this new project they've released is exactly what we were talking about doing. And when I saw it, and look, I don't often catch their releases, I'm a bit behind. When I saw it, I said, you're not going to believe this, look at what they've released, look at what they're doing, their next project. So what we both were talking about doing was getting an old linen, probably tablecloth, and then we want to stitch reclaimed florals and things onto it, and you know, add embroidery and whatnot. So I've got this, I've been collecting bits of reclaimed embroideries for 12 months or so now. And I don't like to, I'm not one of those people, I see some lovely people, and all power to you, who will buy vintage textiles and just cut them up and use them. I really struggle with doing that. I just, unless they're already damaged, I really struggle cutting them up. So I've got this, I'm thinking of, it's full of holes, it's threadbare, look at that. A lot of the crochet is disintegrated. So I've been thinking I might use this one as my base and start stitching bits onto it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I think I'm probably best to watch. Now, please forgive me, because I can't remember who it was whose video I watched. One of the Roxy sisters, they're doing these videos, so I think we're probably best to watch theirs and work through theirs, which I haven't done before. I haven't actually worked through their videos, except for their textile vessel. I worked through that one. But this is what my daughter and I have been talking about doing. I've got a pile of bits here that I've been saving. Look at this one. So that's the plan. When either of us are going to find time to actually do this, I've got no bloody idea. But that's what we're hoping on doing. I've also kept bits of, so other reclaimed tablecloths and things that haven't been able to be saved. I also claim the bits of linen that come out of them. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking I can use these to do other stitcheries on to add to this work. Obviously, they're not going to be vintage stitcheries if I do that, but I can do it in the same way. I've got a couple of transfer books that I can iron on and get stitching. Or, I mean, you don't have to use textile book transfers, obviously. This is another piece of linen, but a different quality. It's a lot finer. So yeah, you don't have to use the vintage transfers, obviously, but you can just trace them on or use the, I can't remember what it's called, the stuff I used for the wool embroidery. So even bits like this we can stitch in, I imagine. So I've got bits like that. I've got this beautiful, don't know about this, I've kept this bit, but I don't know because it's a different colour to all the rest. Don't know if it'll work, but anyway, I've got that bit there. Now this one, I've kept this beautiful sandwich tray cloth, and it's disintegrated over time, and I keep thinking of repairing it, but I don't know. Look at it. In my mind, I want to try and repair this, but I don't know how exactly. I thought I'd put a bit of vintage linen behind it and do a sympathetic repair, but then I don't know how I could match the crocheted border. I don't know, I just think it's beautiful and I don't want to just discard it. We've got some stains up here as well that I'm struggling to get out. But yeah, that's in my pile of bits to be cut up and reuse, but I would like to try and repair that one. Poor thing. And it's getting to that time where the sun is about to duck down behind the trees already. This is another one. Friend gave me this bit. It was already cut up. I've used it in a needle book, a couple of needle books, but I've got some of this as well. Got a couple of these bits, but these ones are machine embroidered, but they're sort of older 70s on linen. And I've got these bits I've rescued from an old tablecloth. Whether I use those or not, I don't know. I actually started using some of that on a denim jacket. And of course we've got the same bits, same tablecloth bits. You'll probably notice some of the bits I've listed previously on my destash page, and that's because I want to share it around. I don't want to keep it all for myself. I thought if anyone else can benefit for some, why not? These are ones I actually bought from Nairi, but look how, I think they're beautiful. So they're going to go into something I'm making. I originally bought these to put in a needle book, but that needle book hasn't materialised yet. So I've got 2 of those pieces. This piece, this is bits that have been rescued. This one's a bit threadbare. I've used this in quite a few different things as well. I think it was a table runner, so you might have seen bits of that pop up before. I've got bits of napkins here and there and everywhere that I've used in different projects. This is one I bought a few months ago, beautiful linen. It's got this beautiful pulled thread work that's all been done by hand, but now I was going to share this too, but I don't know. It's got, look at this, it's all disintegrating, but someone has previously done some repairs on it, which I think is absolutely glorious. Look at this. They've done a fancy little crocheted triangle to repair. Obviously that spot went first, and I think that's absolutely divine. And I don't want to, part of me wants to do similar pieces to repair the other bits, but then another part of me is like, well, what's the point? The whole thing's just about disintegrated in that area, that whole border. So should I just reuse it in other projects? Because there are small sections. Look, you can see it's so threadbare. It's almost evaporating before my eyes, to be honest. But someone's done all this beautiful work. It's absolutely exquisite. And I find it very difficult to just chop things up. And then this is a damask, a linen damask. The lady in the shop gave me this because it had a big hole in it, a big tear. It actually wasn't a tear, I think it was just disintegrated. And you may recognise this. I've used some of this in this Japanese needle book. So this one here. See this bit? I've backed this other bit of linen with it, and then we've got a bit more over here. So I have noticed the more I'm handling it, it's wearing very rapidly, this linen damask. So yeah, that's where that came from. And I don't know if you can see, I tried to use this in the book as well, but I wasn't able to manipulate it all enough to get that much out of it. The actual damask bits, the woven bits, are beautiful. I don't know if that's showing up on the camera. These floral bits, they look like honeysuckles possibly, or what's that purple flower that drapes down on the... I can't remember the name of it. So there's that as well. So that's what else I'm up to. Do you think I've got enough on the go at once? I'll tell you what. I've got buckets of threads here. I started to find, oh look at this vintage grosgrain. It's absolutely gorgeous. It might even be, see, it's got a curve in it. It might even be a skirt Petersham. Is that what it is? I don't know if it's meant to have that curve in it. So yeah, it looks a lot like grosgrain, but it's got that curve in it. So now I'm questioning what it actually is. I used to be fascinated with, I think I did a Jenny Rofe class many years ago at Guild, and Jenny taught us how to do fabric flowers of different kinds, and I've started finding some of them, and I hope I can find the instructions that I did at the time too, because I became so fascinated with them that I did a deep dive at the time on buying. I bought this old book with how to do, I can't get that pin back in there now, how to make folded fabric flowers out of grosgrain and other ribbons, silk ribbons and whatnot, for millinery. And I believe from memory that's how Jenny originally started doing these. They were millinery. I cannot get that. How that person got that pin in there in the first place, I'll never bloody know, because that will not go back in. And to be fair, I probably shouldn't put a pin. I've just bent it. That's how, look, that's how tough it is. I've just actually bent the pin. It's now got a 45-degree bend in it. Sorry, a 90-degree bend in it. Jesus. So yeah, I believe that's, from memory, what Jenny originally started with, the millinery. I've been finding some, I think I mentioned the other day, my grandmother had a lot of supplies that were from my uncle's store. Him and his wife used to have a haberdashery store many years ago. I believe it was before I was born. And my grandma ended up with a lot of the stock that didn't sell. So I've started finding the zippers. This isn't all of them. I know there's more, because I know I've got a box in there with some in it. This is something else I'm working on currently, because I don't have enough projects on the go. I've been making little woolen brooches with vintage textiles to add into as little thank you gifts, so they're on the go. I've got a basket here full of all sorts of stuff, but I don't think I'll pull it all out now, because we'll be here all night, to be honest. This is something I want to repair. She She was stuffed with lavender and wool. It was, I believe, originally to hang on your coat hanger in your wardrobe to keep the moths away. But I think I will convert it into a brooch cushion or something that you could pin your brooches into. So I need to fix that. It's another ongoing project. Oh, look at this. I bought these years ago. I don't know, for those of you who may or may not know, I'm a frontline firefighter, volunteer firefighter. And when I saw these pantyhose, I had to get them just simply because they're called fire hosiery. I bought them years ago. I don't think they'll fit me, but I've still got them. I thought they were fabulous. They were $24.95 originally. I didn't pay that much for them. They're from Trade Secret. So how long has it been since Trade Secret has no longer been opened around here? I've got all sorts. There's a vintage basket in here full of all sorts of haberdashery, and look at this old handbag. The chains come off it. Handbag closure, look at that. I've got no idea how old this is. That little, that's how it opens. Little metal. Yeah, no idea how old that is. Obviously to be stitched onto the top of a handbag, a clutch or something. Oh look, that's actually snapped off. That's a shame. That's a shame. Here's another one. Well, I had two of these ones. Look, it's a bit squished. Look at that. That's very cool, isn't it? They feel quite delicate. There's all sorts of things in here. Pins. They've been opened. Prim. Corsage pins they are. These pins. These are Heidi Grace designs, so I believe these are scrapbooking pins, but I have these in a lot of my pin cushions. These scissors, I bought a heap of these from the craft fair in Sydney many years ago, and I've used them to death. Obviously I've still got a couple of pairs I haven't used. I had all different colours, pink, purple, this colour, blue. This has got Knit Pro cable connectors. Well, you know what's funny? Since I've made a decision to move to South Australia, all these things have been popping up that I've been collecting over the years with South Australia and or Adelaide on them. I find that very weird. I've got all these quilt. Whoever was either giving these away or selling them at the quilt fair years ago, I remember they gave me a whole heap of them. I had more than this. I've actually got one of them, maybe one of those, on my keyring. look, this is cute. Look at this. This little porcelain. Oh, that's yucky. Whatever the heck that is. Ugh. Needs a clean. This little porcelain kitty cat. I'm assuming it's potentially Japanese. A little ginger ninja. If you've ever had a ginger cat, you'd understand about gingers. They're definitely personalities, that's for sure. So yeah, I might end it at that today, guys. All I've done is show you more of my crap that I've dug out from my stash, really. The never-ending, at the moment, stash, and how I'm going to decide how to get rid of everything. Well, what I want to keep, what I want to move with me, and I don't want to take a lot with me. I don't have the space to take a lot with me. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but anyway. That's about it. Maybe later tonight when I move back inside and it's toasty and warm, even though the lighting's not great, I might do some more on the what's it called? Crazy patchwork that we started the other day. Here it is. This is what we've done so far. So we might do some more of that. And again, if you've missed it previously, I'm doing this all by hand again to show you that you don't need a sewing machine if you don't have one. So maybe tonight, if I'm able, I might do a bit more of this. A bit more of the crazy patchwork, hey? There's a bit of a plan. That belongs in that. Where's my needle book gone? Have you come to say hello, bug? Hey? Can you put your nose over here? Oh, yuck, you just slimed me, you big bullfed. You and your slime. Jesus. The sun's gone, so she wants to go back inside. Put your head up here. Look, here. So people can see you. No, not on my tummy. Up here. Here, look. Put your head here. Look, here. Can you put your head here? Here, look. Willow. Up here. Look. That noise is her tail hitting the screen door. I've just got a massive big slimy goober. She's now knocking the cans out of the recycling bin, the cash-in bin. So I think that means it's time to go, guys. Thank you. It's come over very cloudy all of a sudden. The sun is dropping down behind the trees, but it's come over very cloudy and cool. The temperature's dropped significantly just in the last few minutes. So Madam's not happy. She wants to go back inside where it's warm. And yeah, I think I'll sign off. Thank you so very much for joining me again. I don't quite understand how you guys enjoy watching me flick through all my crap and ramble like I do, but you seem to enjoy it, and I guess thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your fabulous comments and suggestions and ideas and whatnot. As I mentioned earlier, I'll try, if I've got the space, well, the brain space capacity tonight, I'll try and get on and do some more of the crazy patchwork. The lighting's really bad inside, so you'll have to bear with me, and we'll see what we can do, hey? It helps me unwind a bit, so maybe it will help you guys too. Until then, I'll see you next time, and as always, it's taken me 5 days to sign off, but But I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. If I can end the video.